right, so the question is he or isn't he? Did he beat his wife or not beat his wife? And is a mutual fight beating your wife? Let's bring in the think tank. You know, I've never really dealt with this issue directly. Joining us tonight, Michael Bixon, great criminal defense attorney in Atlanta tonight. And down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Leslie Ricard Chambers. And joining us from California in Stockton, Gabriel Sepulveda-Sanchez. Great to have you all here tonight. Ladies first, Leslie, let me ask you, if the judge, because there's no jury for this one, if the judge believes that all these fights between Amber and Johnny Depp, Amber Heard and Johnny Depp are sort of mutual fights, toxic relationship, they're beating on each other, does that make Johnny Depp a wife beater?
I think it probably does. The issue that I have here is that I think everyone on this panel tonight would agree that no one should put their hands on anyone, particularly a spouse or a significant other. So I don't think that it matters that she may have been an aggressor one day and then he was an aggressor on a different day. And then, you know, now we have this situation or scenario where they are fighting each other, even if it's a fight in the moment, I guess. You know, the question that I think that the judge will want answered is, you know, whether or not Johnny Depp is violent towards his wife, regardless of who starts the fight.
Gotcha. So that's probably one of the reasons why another piece of evidence came in front of the judge today. And again, Johnny Depp and his team basically saying Amber Heard, she's the aggressor, she's the violent one. Johnny Depp is the victim in the relationship. So Amber's sister, Johnny Depp's ex-sister-in-law, has testified about Johnny Depp doing some terrible things. But she also testified that her sister Amber never struck her. Well, what did they do? They tried to impeach her credibility with a prior inconsistent statement, perhaps. And of course, they did it Hollywood style, folks, with some outtakes from a reality show from back in 2006, 2007, starring Amber's sister. Okay? They're all in bikinis, they're all by the pool, but one of the people is Amber Heard's sister, and everyone, all the other ladies are kind of talking about a fight that she got in with Amber, allegedly. Take a listen.
You do it.
I don't want to be killed.
Did you get in a fight or something?
Oh, thank you. Got into an altercation. I already talked about it. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
I can't believe Amber beat your ass. I know you could beat her ass.
We're not going to talk about that.
Whitney, truth or dare? Okay, did you really start the fight with your sister, or did she start? For real, for real, for real.
We're not going to talk about that.
She really did whoop your butt.
Oh, we're not talking about it.
Yeah, I'm done. I guess I'm done talking about it.
Michael Bixon, can you impeach the credibility of a witness with a clip from a reality show they were in? And can you prove that someone is violent from a clip of a reality show?
You can try. I don't think you're going to be very successful with it. And honestly, after listening to the clip, I didn't really hear her talk about whether or not she had or she hadn't done anything. I mean, they're sort of alluding to it, but it's not really any hard proof. I mean, you're not seeing her strike her. You're not seeing any bruise marks or anything like that. You're sort of hearing it second or even really third hand in this video where they're talking about something that might have happened, but no real confirmation, and not to mention the fact that it's from a reality TV show. So I generally doubt its propensity towards truth just based on that alone.
All right, I want to put up on the screen some of the testimony from Amber Heard's sister, which is one of the reasons that they're going after and attacking her credibility, because this is what she testified to, that Johnny grabbed her, meaning Amber, by the hair with one hand, and I saw him punch her really hard with the other hand multiple times. Her eye was bruised and swollen. Her lip was busted open, and there was a chunk of her hair missing. Johnny grabbed her by the hair and was hitting her, that he had hit her in the face with the phone. He had grabbed her by the hair, pulled her hair out, punched her, and headbutted her, and had almost suffocated her on the bed. Gabriel, if the judge believes this testimony from Amber Heard's sister, I think it's game over, right? That's what wife beaters do.
Exactly. That's really incriminating evidence there as far as Johnny Depp being his wife. And I think with all the judge is going to look at the totality of the evidence and whether there could be some impeachment issues with some of the testimony from the reality TV show. I agree with the previous commentator. That's questionable, and also that's only one incident. When the judge is going to look at all the evidence, it's going to look at the evidence in totality and see whether or not did Johnny Depp actually beat his wife, and that's what it comes down to. It truth is an affirmative defense to a defamation case. These cases I've handled down in Los Angeles. Defamation cases are very tricky. Different witnesses are involved. There's a lot of different statements being made by different people, and it's usually defamation cases are usually between people that used to be friends, former lovers, always someone close to you that's making these statements about you about that person. So it's tricky in the sense that you're having different witnesses come up saying different things, and there's a lot of emotions involved and hurt feelings. So there's a very sticky cases, and the fact that Johnny Depp is a celebrity in California, you have to show that these statements were made by the son with knowledge of their falsity. That not only did they make these statements that were false about Johnny Depp, they were made with the knowledge that they were false, and that's a hard standard to prove. And from my understanding, the London courts, the UK courts, are following the same standard of proof. They have to show that these statements were made with knowledge. The statements were false, and they publish these statements knowing that they were false. That's a hard standard to prove for a defamation case, and they make it harder for celebrities out there to prove defamation.
Absolutely. When we come back, got another story, and you know me, I'm a former prosecutor, and I am not happy with prosecutors in this one. I'll explain when we come back. Our system of justice is set up so prosecutors have a difficult burden to meet. It's beyond any and all reasonable doubt. You know that. I know that. We talk about it all the time. And it's set up to make sure innocent people are not convicted. And what happens sometimes, some guilty ones get away, but it's set up so the last thing you want to happen, worst case scenario in our system, is that an innocent person is convicted. Ted Rollins has a story tonight of a man who was just released from prison after 20 years. The case isn't over, but wait till you hear the evidence. You're going to think this was an innocent man who was convicted. Ted Rollins has a story.
After 20 years behind bars, 58-year-old Dennis Perry walked out of a Georgia prison, presumed innocent.
If there was ever a group of individuals who were overdue some justice and mercy, it was Dennis and his family.
Days before, a judge overturned Perry's double murder conviction based on new DNA evidence implicating another suspect in a 1985 church shooting. Now, Perry's waiting to find out if he will stand trial again for a crime he says he did not commit.
The work will not be done from our perspective until Dennis is completely exonerated. We are hopeful that what will ultimately happen is the state will drop the charges and Dennis will be a free man with no conditions on his continued freedom.
On March 11, 1985, a white gunman walked into Rising Daughter Baptist Church and fatally shot Harold and Thelma Swain.
Harold was a deacon there at the church, and Thelma took minutes at the mission meetings for the church. And that's what they were doing on the night they were killed. They were at a mission meeting / Bible study there at the church when this stranger appeared.
For years, authorities failed to match DNA evidence found at the crime scene to any suspects, including Dennis Perry.
The evidence that was found on the scene, literally within inches of the victims, was a pair of eyeglasses. And it was a very unique pair of eyeglasses. It had been kind of reassembled from several different pairs. It was a unique prescription. And significantly, there were a few hairs that were caught in the catch of the eyeglass frame.
Dennis Perry didn't wear glasses, and he had an alibi for the night of the shooting. He was working at a concrete company hundreds of miles away. But 13 years after the murders, new allegations led authorities back to Perry, leading to his conviction.
Jane Beaver was the mother of Dennis Perry's ex-girlfriend. She testified at his trial that he had told her he planned to go and kill Harold Swain because Harold Swain had refused to loan him money and laughed in his face.
What Perry or his lawyers didn't know was that Beaver asked police about reward money, evidence that could have challenged her credibility.
She would be paid $12,000 in reward money for her testimony.
The revelations came to light in a 2018 podcast about the case, Undisclosed. Perry's lawyers used the information to request a new trial. The next year, Atlanta Journal-Constitution reporter Josh Sharp began looking at another former suspect.
So Eric Sparr was a man who was a suspect briefly in 1986, a year after the murders. His ex-wife's family came forward to say that he had threatened to kill them, and while he was threatening to kill them, he said he was the person who killed the two N-words in the church, is how he allegedly said it.
But Sparr had an alibi. He was working at Winn-Dixie.
The alibi was given by a person who claimed to be Eric Sparr's boss, but my reporting shows that the person, as described in the police documents, never existed.
Perry's lawyers obtained a DNA sample from Sparr's mother. The sample matched those hairs caught in the glasses found at the crime scene.
What was missing was physical evidence tying Eric Sparr to the crime. That's exactly what we have now.
The state argued that Perry waived his right to appeal when he took a deal with prosecutors that spared him a potential death sentence. But Superior Court Judge Stephen Scarlett rejected that argument. In granting Perry's motion for a new trial, the judge called the evidence so material that had it been introduced at his trial, it probably would have produced a different verdict. The court also heard from Sparr's actual manager at Winn-Dixie, who denied ever providing the alibi. CourtTV was unable to reach Sparr. He denied he was involved when Sharp shared the DNA results with him.
Look, I have no idea. I don't have any glasses missing. I want you to leave me alone.
Exactly, leave me alone. This is outrageous on so many different levels because at this point, prosecutors still haven't decided whether or not they're going to retry the guy. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? Let's bring in our think tank. Michael Bixen's going to be a little shocked tonight because he knows the way I usually roll on this show. But I'm looking for the truth, Michael. I want the truth, and I want prosecutors going after the truth. They were fighting this tooth and nail. The DNA matched the other suspect. If that DNA had matched Dennis Perry, you know prosecutors would be jumping up and down saying, I told you so.
They should be. I mean, and most people don't recognize the fact. I think defense attorneys and prosecutors play opposing sides, but we are both interested in at least seeking the truth in any case. And I think in this case, the prosecutors have abandoned that. And that's a real shame because there is so much evidence here that points to this being Mr. Sparr and not Mr. Perry being the actual murderer. And for some reason, they're still just plowing down this path against Mr. Perry. And I think it's really unfortunate, not just for Mr. Perry, but for the whole system of justice here in Georgia.
Yeah, it makes no sense to me, Leslie. It makes no sense. You're a former prosecutor. I mean, we're supposed to go after, and I say we because I'm a former prosecutor, the truth, justice, seek justice, which is the truth. That DNA, I believe in DNA. I think it's great evidence. That DNA in glasses at the scene. Guess what? It didn't match the defendant. It matched the other suspect, the original suspect.
I agree with you, Vinny. And I'm pretty sure you remember hearing when you became a prosecutor that prosecutors are the gatekeepers, right? And so it's bothersome to me that as the gatekeepers of justice, that these prosecutors have yet to make the right decision here and do what I think is the right decision is and dismiss these charges. I mean, come on. You're talking about 1985. I still believe that during that time, there were a lot of officers who did not do well investigations. And to me, this is one of those times where they failed everybody. They didn't just fail Eric, I believe his name is, or the individual who was convicted, but they also failed these victims by not pursuing a proper investigation and making sure that they had the right person. And now you couple that with present day, where they've clearly got DNA that links someone else to the crime, and then you've got the ex mother-in-law or ex-girlfriend's mom who says that he said that he was planning on killing the deacon in the church because he wasn't able to get money from him. And then you turn around and illustrate that she questioned or had questions about the reward money. To me, that is very telling, and that's something that the prosecutors should be looking at in terms of making sure that they've got the right person. And as the gatekeepers and as a former gatekeeper, I'm very disappointed in that.
Gabriel, let's go through the list here, right? Dennis Perry, the man who's convicted, doesn't wear glasses. There's glasses found at the scene. There's hair on the glasses. The DNA does not match him. The DNA matches the other suspect. You know, the other suspect whose alibi doesn't stand up, the other suspect who allegedly confessed to the shooting to his relatives. Dennis Perry had an alibi, and the key witness against him was the ex's mother, who's getting paid for her testimony. This is outrageous, Gabriel.
It's ridiculous. This is definitely, in my opinion, prosecutor misconduct right here. And the fact that they're fighting they're really taking a hard stance on this appeal with all the evidence they have now. It's really a shame. We entrust our DAs and prosecutors to seek the truth and to make sure no one innocent is going to be convicted of a crime. And if there is some evidence that someone was innocent, be open to it, listen to it, and reverse the conviction. Leave your pride and ego aside, do what's right. This is going to be a case probably teeing up for a wrongful imprisonment lawsuit. This is especially the DA is not doing themselves any favors right now, being hard on this guy and not being open to the evidence too. This is going to be used as further evidence that he was wrongfully convicted. And a jury may hear this, just the facts that we've all heard. A jury may hear this in a civil case and punish the DAs there for what's going on right now.
Absolutely.
One thing that the thing that stuck out the most was you have a witness that's actually their key witness in the initial prosecution basically said that I needed what's up with this reward money, and that right there is just damaging to her credibility. If that's your only witness to putting this guy away, you had no DNA evidence, no physical evidence, that's bad. They need to return this. They need to reverse this conviction.
Need to do the right thing. Need to do your job. Do justice. When we come back, we're going to take you to Oklahoma. Man is being subdued by police, gets tased. The allegations are he's tased not once, not twice, but 53 times. That story when we return.
They had multiple times to arrest him, and to put him in cuffs, and they chose not to do it. They chose to tase him 53 times and kill him. And Jared begged for his life, and they had no regard for my son's life. They had no mercy on him.
Tragic, tragic story involving a man who is tased by police over and over again. He ends up dying. There you heard from his mom. And now the officers involved have been charged. Julie Grant has a story for us tonight.
The 4th of July is supposed to be a time for celebrating, and that's what 28-year-old Jared Lakey set out to do on last year's holiday.
He was just a good person.
Yeah, he was just somebody that everybody liked to be around. He was considered the life of the party because he was always making jokes and making people laugh.
Lakey went to a friend's house in Wilson, Oklahoma, but never returned home. Instead, he had a run-in with police after someone reported a man acting disorderly, naked and running down the street yelling. According to police, Lakey would not comply with their commands, and they tased him.
Put your hands back!
This body camera footage shows 3 angles of the incident. Jared Lakey is screaming for help. Lakey is tased a total of 53 times and put in a chokehold by a sheriff's deputy. He becomes unresponsive at the scene and is rushed to a hospital.
I'm very angry that somebody could do another human being like that. It's beyond my thinking. I just don't understand. I don't.
Doug and Cynthia Lakey went to the hospital to see their son, but he never woke up to see them. and passed away on July 6th.
I actually seen the taser marks on his body. I actually seen my son bleed to death. We seen him on life support. We seen all these horrific things. And it's not something that you ever forget.
No drugs were found in Lakey's system. The medical examiner finding Lakey died from complications from a heart attack, combined with police use of an electrical weapon. The manner of death is undetermined.
Our family is completely destroyed, and our family will never be the same. Our lives will never be the same again, ever.
1 year after their son's death, officers Brandon Dingman and Joshua Taylor are charged with second-degree murder. According to court documents, Officer Dingman deployed his taser 23 times for a total of 144 seconds. Officer Taylor deployed his taser 20 times for a total of 122 seconds. Here's use of force expert David Wright.
That's an extreme amount. There's a lot of issues being at play here. I also saw one of the officers, the backup officer, arrive, and he applies what appears to be a rear naked choke. Rear naked chokes are generally reserved for the use of deadly force. It looks to me like the officers have safety on their side. They have distance with that taser. They have the individual grounded. They're on their feet. The individual is not fighting them.
Not fighting is something Jared Lakey's parents found to be consistent with the peaceful person they say he was known to be.
Jared was a person that you didn't have to pull a gun on or anything like that. Jared wasn't going to fight the police.
They also question why they never saw any evidence of the fighting the officers claim happened.
What I want to know is where the other half, Taylor's video, just starts in the middle of tasing. What happened before that? Because he had internal injuries. He bled out. He had edema, swelling on the brain. He had cauliflower ears. Where is that part of the video?
The family has also filed a civil lawsuit in their quest to get justice for Jared. In the meantime, they're grateful for the outpouring of support they've received.
And we're thankful for everybody's prayers and things that they've helped us.
They already feel some sense of justice, with the two officers being criminally charged.
And this case is a year old, but the world has changed a lot in the last year. Gabriel, let me ask you your thoughts about this case now versus a year ago. You know, the way juries will hear this, the way juries will look at this. What do you think?
I wouldn't want to be those cops right now. Yeah, I think one of the what I've learned about this case was that they're putting a second-degree murder charge on them, and second-degree murder doesn't require premeditation. If you're reckless, if you killed someone with reckless disregard for their life, not necessarily premeditation, you could be convicted of second-degree murder. So I think this is it sounds to me like it's a layup case. They deployed their taser. I haven't heard of anything like that before. It sounds to me like he wasn't fighting back, although we haven't seen the entirety of the evidence yet. If he wasn't fighting back, and he no longer pose a threat to the officers, and they deployed their taser that many times, that is egregious, and that's definitely reckless. And in my opinion, that's going to get them enough. A jury's that's enough evidence right there that they killed him with reckless disregard of his life. And right now, with the media, is all our United States, the citizens are all over this type of police misconduct at this time. A year ago, we weren't having these discussions as much, but now we are. Now we're having these tough talks about white privilege and excessive police misconduct and holding police officers accountable. And right now, it's a bad place to be for those cops.
Michael Bixon, think about how much has changed and what this case will be like, and the way juries now are going to evaluate police officers inside courtrooms.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's going to be a very difficult time for the defense, aside from all the facts in this case. Setting all that aside, just the current political climate and everything that's going on in this nation, I think is going to make it very difficult for the defense team going forward. That being said, this has to be one of the most egregious set of facts in police misuse of force. I mean, I've never seen anything where someone's just laying on their stomach, tased 50 times over the course of 4.5 minutes or so. I mean, the poor man was tortured to death. And there's no way of getting around it. So, even setting aside the political climate that we're in right now, the facts of this are so over the top egregious. I can't imagine the prosecutors are going to have a very tough time trying to prove murder in the second.
Yeah, Leslie, I think we're going to, obviously we're going to see more cases like this because more charges are coming down in jurisdictions around the nation. But ultimately, it'll be up to the public, up to the jurors to make all these decisions and all these calls. What do you think the temperature is out there right now? Because we've seen a little bit of pushback on both sides. Some people saying that officers are being victimized to a certain extent in some situations. How do you see jurors in America now when police officers are on trial?
Well, I do think that jury selection in a case like this is going to be key. And the prosecutors have to make sure that they ask the right questions to really discover what each juror's concept of policing, should be in terms of, what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, right? And so here, I just wonder how many jurors, regardless of what side of the coin they fall on, is the fact that a young man who clearly has some type of either inebriation or mental health issue going on, he's running, walking down the street naked. He clearly doesn't have anything on his person. He has nowhere to hide anything. And so, I don't know how the police are going to be able to overcome the idea that whatever force they felt like he presented to them was sufficient enough to for them to resolve to use the type of force that they used by tasing him, not just one time, not just 2 times, but over 50 times. Why wasn't 1 time enough? Why wasn't 2 times enough? I mean, reasonableness has to rest within each juror, or the concept of reasonableness will rest within each jurors. And so I just hope that the state does a good job of picking the right jury in this case who believe in that concept of
Speaking of jurors, I think we lost you there at the end. I'm sorry. Speaking of jurors, folks, time to hear from you, the 13th juror. When we come back, your comments regarding Johnny Depp's trial and situation. Posted some of the evidence online today. Wow. That's next.
You're never the one to throw the olive branch. I'm sick and tired of it. It needs to change. And you can go, I can't meet those demands. I can't do it. Or you can promise me so I have a modicum of safety. I feel a modicum of respect. A little tiny sliver of like you are in this whether it is good or bad. Whether it is good or bad. Down and up. Lows and highs. Tough and easy.
Woo! I mean, you talk about airing your dirty laundry in public. It doesn't get any more dirty and any more public than what's happening over in the UK. Johnny Depp suing the Sun for libel, saying that they called him a wife beater and he's not a wife beater. So the whole trial is about his relationship with his ex Amber Heard. That was her voice on that recording. So I posted that and some of the other evidence online today to get your verdict on what's happening out there. And we begin with our 13th juror comment of the day coming from Mustafa, who says she's a covert narcissist. A proper one, plain and simple. You won't be able to tell by looking, but there are cues of narcissism in her tiny face. Johnny should cut all ties and live at the other end of the globe. That's the only way out. Leslie, if that's the way the judge sees this, I mean, there's a chance that, he may side with Johnny against the Sun, saying he's not a wife beater, he's a victim.
That was a really harsh comment by whoever made that. I certainly would hope that, that if I was to have the unfortunate circumstance to be in a situation like this, that I'm not subject to the opinions of folks who think that way. But, who knows how this is going to turn out right, Vinny? Because we know that Johnny Depp came forward and admitted that he's got some substance abuse issues, and he brought in some audio about some conversation that he and Amber had that's supposed to, I guess, highlight the fact that she was maybe an aggressor at some point in time. I don't know. This is a very unfortunate and tragic circumstance. I hope they both get the help that they need, because it looks like they are both bad for each other. And so I am praying that that they both really get the help that they both need, whether it's separate or apart.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be separate. P. Dell writes tonight, from what's being shown on TV, they had a very toxic relationship, and he clearly has a drug and alcohol issue. Clearly, he's trying to blame the media for him not being able to get jobs as an actor. However, I think he needs to look at his actions. All actions have consequences. He clearly has some deep-rooted issues. I hope they both get help and can live a happy, productive life. Michael Bixon, that's the end game here for Johnny Depp is, I need to get jobs. I need to, my reputation is in shambles because they called me a wife beater. But with all this other stuff that came out during the trial, I mean, is his reputation any better today, even if he wins this thing?
I think there's a very big difference between having a drug and alcohol addiction versus being accused of being a wife beater. I think that, especially today, we definitely look at that as more of a sickness in terms of having a drug or alcohol addiction. But there's certainly a much more negative viewpoint if you're going to be called a wife beater. So, even if all this stuff about drug and alcohol addiction comes out, I actually think that might even get some more sympathy for him compared to being called a wife beater.
Phyllis tonight writes, some of what she says is truth, but she is twisting the truth to suit herself, to save her own name. Drugs, alcohol, mixed. No one would ever know the truth, as neither of them really know. Gabriel, if the judge at the end of this case is thinking the same thing, I really don't know what happened here. Who wins?
I think the standard for celebrities to sue for defamation against a tabloid, I think it's already sufficient. People have to realize that he has to prove that not only were these statements false, but the Sun or the tabloid company that made these statements knew that they were false and still made them. That's a hard standard to prove. There's a lot of evidence. We need to find out exactly what this company did, what information they had, and then did they make those statements? So did they publish the article about Johnny Depp being a wife beater, knowing that they're most likely false statements? So that's a tough standard to prove. I think their celebrities are protected enough. And based on what we know here, I mean, there's a lot of evidence that looks like this guy had a bad relationship with with Amber, and there's a lot of evidence that he was very violent with her. So I think that, with that being said, I think there's enough protection celebrities have, and that a judge is most likely going to rule that this tabloid company is not liable for defamation based on what we know the law is and what the evidence is. You got to show that these guys, they made these statements knowing that they were false statements. And based on what we know,
and they were going after him.
They're going after him. Yeah.
All right. We are out of time for tonight and this week. Michael Bixon, Leslie Ricard Chambers, Gabriel Sepulveda-Sanchez, thank you all so much. I appreciate your time, your insight, and your expertise. That's it for tonight, folks. Monday through Friday, 8 to 11. We are live right here on your front row seat to justice. I am Vinny Politan. As always, have a wonderful day, wonderful night, great weekend, and don't forget to hug the kids.